Yeah. S- Right, right. So how is my audio, Professor Ed? Like, okay, nice. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, yeah. This is a week of cloud, and let's give up, give at least 1 or 2 minutes, like other people join, then we can start. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sharing a screen yet, so nice, nice. Yeah. Let me share my screen as well. So I hope you guys can see my screen, right? Absolutely. I'm not in a presentation mode. So how about this now? Like I'm in a presentation mode now. So I can go back and forth, like go back because today is our demo day, primarily. We'll be talking few. I'm in Microsoft Windows. I'm a Windows guy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Yeah. Cool. I think we can start. So we are on time. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. This is the second day of the cloud for the Ramadan sessions, brother and sister. Today we're gonna talk more about some of the services and how we can use the AWS uh, cloud framework in our day-to-day job and life. So before going further, or deep dive into any of the service, like I would like to talk CLI. And I'm pretty sure like those who are working, they are aware of that, like what is CLI. It's a command line interface. And primarily if you are working with a AWS services or any services, so many times like you don't need to go to the graphical user interface and click off and do the click ops. Rather, like you can do the same things using the CLI to 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 have more efficiency and uh, quick access and troubleshootings and some of the types of engineer like sysops or sys development engineer or even in developer, they they prefer to use the CLI uh, to have quick access, yeah, and uh, to increase their efficiencies while they are working on it. So the command line interface, like those who are in MacBook, they also have, they can see the terminal and they can use it, write their commands rather than going to the GUI graphical user interface and use that. And for the Windows user, they can use the either command prompt or PowerShell script. So let me, since like while we are talking, we are just talking PowerPoint slides, and go back to the AWS account and show how does it looks like, and how what all commands we can use. So those are things. So uh, with the second slide, if you are in MacBook, and you are using the Bash shell, so your terminal looks like this, and you can use any AWS command, provided you have to log into the AWS console and make sure you logged into your account, and you can execute any of the commands and see their results. So let me I'm just going back to this normal mode, and this is the AWS screen, right? And if you want to use like any of the services, well, first of all, you have to log into this AWS account. So I logged in with my this account, and my user is a cloud user. Once I logged in, you can see all the services listed here, as well as like there are some other services, all the list of services based on their categories listed here. I want to use like how the CLI looks like, and what all commands I can get executed, and what would be the results. On the very top bar, there is a button called Cloud Shell. You can use this Cloud Shell, or you can also use your own terminal and connect your AWS account with the terminals. The experience looks like same. So this is the uh, if you are in MacBook, then you consider this is a terminal, and Windows, you can use the G shell or Bash shells, or even in Windows command prompt, like you can use this, use the command. So once you hit on this Cloud Shell, you will see this the terminal. You can directly write some commands to see how it looks like and what is the result. So okay, so first of all, I'm writing a command called AWS STS get caller identity. So what is this command? Like certainly we can go with the detail of the command. I'm just executing this command to know what is the results and why it is why we are using this. So this shows like we are in this user ID, we are into this account ID, and who is the, yes, how about this looks like? Okay, nice. So, so this, let me pull this one here. So if you see here, like you executed this command, AWS STS get caller identity, who is calling and and who is logged in. Those all informations you can get it with this command. So this makes sure sometimes like you are working on more than two account, and sometimes like you executed some command and its behavior is different. To make sure like you are into the right account to execute right a set of commands and get the right set of results. For example, this account might be having some storage or S3 buckets listed here. So I just want to see like what, instead of going into the ClickOps and go to the graphical user interface and see like what all S3 bucket is listed. Let me go back to normal command like reset, and if you see the S3 is a one of the service, I hit on this S3 service in a GUI mode, and we'll see like if there is a bucket available or not. So S3 is a global services. There is no bucket exist in this account. So let me create a bucket quickly, and the same. So this is the northeast region bucket is getting created. So I'll write my bucket. Bucket name is always unique, always unique. So I'll write like 04 02 2024 355. So this should be my bucket name, and these are the configurations. I'm not. We will talk more in detail in these configurations. I'm just creating these buckets. Since this bucket is gets created, you can upload some file within this bucket. But before that, like the same bucket, like if you hit the same command, how how to see all the bucket listed in your account. So let me fire some command ls s3 aws. Every command start with aws s3 ls. So I'm just increasing some font here. So if you see like how many buckets are listed, one bucket we just created. So either you have to go graphical user interface and see that like how many buckets are there, or or use the CLI command line interface to see all those operations or command line operations here. I personally feel like the developer, system engineer, all those folks are using CLI more rather than going into the console and click ops doing so this is the CLI, and you can execute every commands you can execute or hit on the graphical user interface, the same command and you will be able to use in CLI. For example, you can also create the bucket from here. Like for example, I want to create bucket from CLI and want to see like the same bucket is created or not. So the command is s3 aws s3 make bucket s3 and the bucket name. So bucket name is like since I said like bucket name is always unique, so we can provide some unique name of the bucket. So let me type some name, my bucket dash my bucket 040220240410. If you hit on the button, so this bucket is gets created. So now let me go back to the console and see like verify whether the bucket has been created or not. So go to the Amazon S3 bucket and hit a refresh button. So you will see the second bucket. So the same command you can execute with the command prompt or CLI, um, the same command you can use the console to create the bucket. So whatever easy way for you as in developer, as in system engineer, you use that. But this is very key part of any developer's life, like how to use CLI and execute all the commands. All right. So sorry. So let me close that uh, and go back to the PowerPoint slide again. And any questions do we have for the CLI? What is the CLI? What the usage of the CLI? If you have any questions, we can take this. Otherwise, we can move forward on it. Let me see the chat. Only given yesterday's session recording uploaded. So, Brother Sharp, like we will share all the slides, and Brother Mo can help you to sending all the slides of the yesterday session, today's sessions, and recording as well, inshallah. Okay, so the coming back to the next topic, there are various services available in AWS or since it's a cloud provider. So one of the key service is IAM, wherein like we are managing identity and access management. This is very critical and crucial services. Like if you are working as a cloud engineer, irrespective of if you are using any services or working on any profile like security engineers within the cloud framework, uh, data science engineer, data engineers, like you must know this service uh, in in a good way. Like how otherwise like it the service and data will get misused. So how to set up the identity and access management and or we can call it the IAM, and what is this service all about? So primarily identity and access management is mm, to manage all the scales, workload, workforces, access, and how to access securely all the resources, those all things. So primarily we have three different area within the identity and access management. One is the user, second is group, and third is a role. But before going into that, user group and role and having some demo to create the user groups and role, we can talk this slides really quick. This is the identity access management service, and if you see, there are three things is here: who can access what. This is primarily we have to configure and have to set up in a good way when who can access what. Otherwise you cannot open every HR related stuff to for the employee, every employee. You cannot open some protected health information or PII information. So those all informations are sensitive data. You cannot leave it open for everyone. Every employee can access that. So there's a huge risk. So for that, like we have to have like user groups and roles properly set up so that like who can access what. So what is IAM? IAM manage users and their level of access with the AWS console. This has major three part like user groups and roles. So now let me go back to the service console and we'll show you like how the user groups and roles gets created and have some examples. So, okay, all right. I'm into the same account. Mm, If you see the same account, I just logged in and let me open IAM. You just type the IAM here, or it will show or pop up like most recent use services. So these are the list of services. So IAM, I just make it a star either like if you want to make it favorite service. So click on the IAM. We'll talk something in this screen. IAM dashboard. If you see some triangular red button here, add MFA for the root user. This means this is a security violations. This account have a root user and that does not set up the multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is more than two-factor other than user ID and password. We should have some third factor like yeah, OTP or some mobile push notification and all those things. So you can set up the multi-factor authentications for this root users. We are not going with that setting up multi-factor now, but the moment you logged in, it will show your account or your user is not compliance with the security, and then it shows like in our this triangular box. So now coming back to the user access and user roles and policies uh, and groups, those all things. Here is it. We can create a groups and we can create a user. So hit on the user. So let me create one user here. So a little bit slow. So or I can refresh that. It is still coming up. So what is the user? What is user? What is role? And what is group? So basically, if you are creating a user, you have a different set of groups like development groups, QA groups, HR groups. So you should not manage individual users. Mm, if rather like you have to manage a group, like you have to create a development group, have a set of permissions for the developer, all the developers like developers can access XYZ resources, and similarly for the HR folks can able to access some specific kind of resources. So those are all things manage is very easy. Rather than individual user, you have to manage the group. I don't know why it is not. Let me refresh. I'm trying. Just bear with me. I'm just trying to. No, everything is set. It is still spinning up, so maybe it got stuck somewhere. Oh, Here with me, I'm uh, closing some of the process, so maybe that will help. Not sure, it's got stuck somewhere. Uh, Professor Ed, I'm just closing my browser and then I'll restart my browser. So, what happened? Taskbar setting. Okay, by the time the process gets settled, I can talk more, and once that process is settled, we can go back in a demo mode. So. Let me talk more on the users group and roles. So similarly, you have set of users into one groups, and you can associate or create an individual roles, like can this kind of group can only read this set of objects, or this set of group can write those things. So those role we can create, associate the role with a group, and then associate users with a group. So that's what, like, if any new user is joining to the organizations or leaving any organizations, so you no need to manage individual users, rather than like you just add into the group or remove from the group. So that's it. So similarly, uh, so let that is the users role and group. We go back to the demo mode, and then we'll have the demo how to create the users roles and group. Coming back to the S3, Amazon S3 is mm, Amazon S3 is one of the service wherein like it stores uh, any kind of file. It has uh, it's like 5 TB of initial data you can store with one bucket, and subsequently you can increase that. So if you see this architecture, you can store any kind of data within the Amazon S3 buckets, and further S3 can be used for analysis of those datas. Like it can be used in artificial intelligence, it can be used for advanced analytics, machine learning. So data is there, you can use as based on your need, based on your business case. But since data is here, we have to make sure uh, the data should be categorized well, data should be encrypted, data should not be available for all for the public access. So while you are creating your S3 buckets, you should consider those aspects of configurations. So so the basics of S3 is you can store unlimited storage, and but initially like you should have the 5 TB, and every file you can store, and that will consider in a bucket. Like everything's we can call it as a bucket, store file in a bucket. So n number of file and directory, you can store it, and you can access those bucket. S3 standard is, as per the company, it says like 99.99% is availabilities. So why the company is claiming this? Because company has put those kind of infrastructure. Whenever you are keeping the data in S3, it would be stored in a redundant way. Um, Instead of one copy, multiple copy will get stored. So the availability of data is 99.99, but at the same time durability would be 99.99. So this is what the cloud provider company is claiming for their S3 S3 services. Also, like securing S3 bucket, it is extremely secured. It is always mm, always whenever you create the S3 bucket, it should always be giving the options to create a private, but you can intentionally create a public access. If, for example, if you want to create a website which is and website file needs to host within the S3 bucket to quickly develop the website, you can make the website as a public so that everybody can access that. And also, but you can also apply any kind of policies within the bucket. If you see here, I just copy and paste this bucket policies in a form of JSON. Many people some of the people knows about the JSON and if don't know the JSONs, there's a separate things, separate crash course we can take it. What is JSON and how the format looks like. But if you create any bucket policies, the policy you have to write in a JSON format, wherein like if you see here, the version and a statement, these two things are very is a common for writing any policies. And system identification is public read because this policy is written for the public access read, and effect is allow, and principal is a star, means within the bucket everything anything so you can access it. And what action you can access, like S3 get object. So within the S3 bucket you can access any object, or you can get any object. So if you attach these policies within the bucket, so you can restrict or like leave it as open, or you can restrict like only certain resources can use the get object, certain resource can use the put object. So those all policies we can write it. And this would be a very detailed practice or demo, but this is just a very high level overview. Like you can just associate the policies within the bucket to restrict your access and restrict the object, and make sure only the required people or required person can access your buckets and data. So let me, okay, all right. So before going to that, let me watch the chat. CLI used for what purpose, please? Example. Kamal. So this is the previous slides question. CLI is used for what purpose? CLI increase your efficiency. If you want to use some things on a very frequent basis, you can use the CLI rather than you have to go within the console and clicks uh, and upload. For example, you're uploading from the GUI. Same things can be done with the GUI, but using the CLI would be more faster. Every developer's choice is to use the CLI. So, okay, so we were talking about the creating user. So let me create a user. I'll say like test user 01, and the test user can also have the access of the console access. So you can write. Um, So you can write checkbox this button to creating a user. It also gives some of the option console password. It should be auto-generated or custom password based on your choice. You can you just select those option. I say show password and auto-generated password. If I hit the next button, so there are three options is available. Add this user to a group, copy permissions, attach policies directly. So once you create a user, there are three different type of options is available. So either you want to add this user in one of the group, and group is already set up, like this set of group can access ABC resources. This set of group can do these many things. So it is very easy to add the user into the group to maintain the different groups and quickly adding the user, removing the user within the group. At the same time, like you can write individual user permissions. You can copy permission from the existing users and add that permission into this user. Also, the third option is you can write manually all the policies and associate with this user. Means this policy is associated with this user, means like this user can do based on the policy attached with that user. So let me go ahead and do the add user to the group. So this is user is going to create, but so which do you see any options here like creating a group? No. So I am just creating the user now, but there is no group available. Let me create the group separately and then associate that group with that users. So here is a group. I'm creating a group, create group. So I can say it's a developer and developer group. So this group can have the administrator access. These are the policies. This group can have many other kind of policy you can associate. So for example, I just given the Alexa for business full access or administrator access amplify or administrator. These two are policy we have given for this group. So I'm creating a group here. So you can see this is a group is created, and once you click on this group, you can add the user within that group. So there are two user, test user and cloud users. So I can add those two test user and cloud user within that group. So what does it mean? So we created a group called developer group, and we provided the policy or associated that policies for admin access for that group. So this means this user is part of that developer group. This means this user will also have the administrator access to access the resources. Similarly, we can create the another group called HR group or QA group. QA group. And QA group usually have some limited access, so we can provide some this allow app full access or allow app stream full access, or you can write specific your custom policy. So these are the defined policy. We can call this is a managed policy. Uh, s- Sometimes like some of the company has best practice is not to use the managed policies rather than use your own policy. You can write your own policy and associate it with this group also. So if you see there is a multiple 1 to 47 pages, different types of policies. If you scroll it to the right, like you can find all different kind of policies based on the service. Also you can see the policy. For example, I wrote the S3. So S3 full access. So I have given this QA group S3 full access and creating a group here. So the QA group has been created, and let me assign uh, or create another user. QA user, custom password, auto show password. So these are the things like you can associate based on your need. So add user to the group. Okay, so which group like this user will, you can do this way as well. Like previous the example was a different way, but you can also, while you're creating the users, you can associate the group at the same time. So this user is part of the QA group. And finally, user was not created. uh, what's that? There are some responses is needed. It is a ref. Okay, let me re-log in to this account. So, okay, all right. IAM user is cloud user, and this is the password. So this is also a good thing. Like whenever how nobody asks the questions like how do we log into the AWS console? How do we log in to your own account? Once you have your account, your subscriptions, you have the 12-digit account number. You should create like IAM username and the password. And once you signing in, authentication information is incorrect. So let me uh, get my login credentials. Just give us a moment, please. AWS account ID is this one. Let me try with a different account. So yeah, so we just logged into the different account with the same user. Now, where are we? S- So we talked about the IAM primarily, all the users, groups, and roles. Let me share something about the S3, how we can create the S3 bucket, and how we can use various different options for the S3. So mm, we already talked about the Amazon S3. It's a simple storage service, some basics of S3, and creating policies and all those things. So and this is the Amazon S3 simple storage service. So let me create with all the options provided for the S3, and we can also create quickly a static website using S3, and we can host that website in a span of like 5-10 minutes. So okay, since we are all sharing, uh, you can see the screen here. Uh, I just hit on the S3 homepage. I'm creating a new S3 bucket. We'll talk something more like we already show to you like how the bucket is created, but the intention is here to discuss all the configurations. So my bucket 040220241010. So these are the buckets. And if you see here, like block public access setting for this bucket. So whenever you create a S3 bucket, all the time, the block all public access is disabled. This is very key configurations. If you are not making block, this means this S3 bucket can be accessed to anyone. Like I can use that. Any bad guy can use read and you exploit your information. So the cloud provider itself, they have they're blocking all the public access from the very beginning. You can enable on your choice. So if you enable this public access, so there are a bunch of options and acknowledgement. They're asking, are you sure you want to make this S3 bucket as a public? And they are taking consent from the user or company so that there should not be liability for the cloud provider. So I'm a user. I can say, okay, yes, I'm since I'm writing this, creating this bucket to host my website or a static website. So this needs to be public access enabled. So that's what like I give my consent here, like yes, I acknowledge the current setting might result in this bucket and object within the becoming public. So this is the public bucket, and there the bucket versioning is disabled. You can enable the bucket versionings if you're not aware of the versioning. So versioning is like whenever you are uploading any content on any objects, it will be having the different versioning. It will maintain the version. If something goes wrong, something got messed up, you can go back to the specific versions and get those files and information. So bucket versioning is best practices to have the bucket versioning enables. You can also have the tags. It's optional, but since we have only one bucket here, many times like if you have more than one buckets and company organizations has like thousands, hundreds of buckets, so you can tag it like this set of buckets used for this set of project, this set of buckets is used for this set of projects. So you can tag it. So you can add just tag this is for dev bucket and Python developers. So similarly, like you can have the QA and some other based on their category, you can tag it. Mm. S- every bucket, so we can talk more of the encryption when we talk the security topic, but every bucket is enabled with the server-side encryption and with the managed key. There are three different types of encryptions. So primarily every bucket is SSES3 encryption. We can have the KMS encryptions. These are the different topic like how we can strengthen our data and bucket or in a security perspective. So we can have the different types of encryption enabled. Also, bucket key, we can enable the bucket key. And here, advanced setting, there are a bunch of setting is enabled. Object lock is disabled, so we are not locking object. So based sometimes project to project is needed to enable the object lock, yes and no. So, and I just hit the create bucket. So let's see how the buckets gets created. So this is the bucket is created. Now I want to enable or I want to host my website within this bucket. So uh, hosting an hosting a static website, we should have some HTML page, we should have some error page. So I have created those HTML and error page. I just want to upload those things, those pages. So go to the upload file, add a file. Here, if you see in download options, index and error, there are two different type of HTML pages available. Uh, Here, if you see like in this screen, and these are the HTML page wherein like we are writing something, some HTML code, and this page gets deployed to S3 bucket. And similarly for the error page and HTML page, those two pages is there. So now I just want to upload these two file here. Just give us a moment, like this file is gets uploaded. One is a index.html file and another is error.html file. So similarly, like you can add all your website contents. Like for example, if you are building a website for InnovatiCS, you can have different courses, contact us, and all links between all the pages you can deploy here. And you just host this website within the S3 and it will be available in a moment. So I just click on upload. So once I click on upload, those two files is uploaded into your S3 bucket, right? So now go back to, since this is already uploaded, let me go back to the S3. This is my bucket. So there are some other tabs, and every tab is serving their own purpose: the properties, the permissions, the metrics and management and access point, etc. So go hit on the properties. You will see a couple of different options. So all the way to the bottom here, if you see server access logging, AWS Cloud Trails, means all the events if you are doing, like that should get logged into the cloud Trails. Default encryption, what else? we have said like those all things is available. Bucket versioning is enabled. At the same time, like if you see the permission, so whatever is related to the permission at you see here. But like let me see the properties, like how the website version looks like. Static website. Do you see here like a static website hosting? It is this option is disabled. Let me enable these options. If we enable these options, and since we have two files, one is the index.html file, one is error.html file, we just write index.html and one is the error.html file and save changes. Since this file is already created, just need to save the changes and go all the way to the bottom. It will create endpoints. Endpoint means this is the website, like you're typing google.com, microsoft.com. So similarly, like this is static website hosted in S3. So let me copy this, or like you can just create on the new page. It should show the options or the website hosted. So what is this? This is 403 forbidden. This means like this, you have created and hosted the website and page, but you have not given the sufficient permission to access this website to the end user. So that's what we are getting the 403 forbidden. So how to handle this situation? So go to the permission tab. Before the permission tab, edit. Okay. So this, we have to provide this link should be available for publicly, or everybody can access that. So go to permission tab here. So blocking public access bucket. So make sure like this access is public. So yes, it is public access, and you have to write some bucket policies to access these buckets everywhere. Go to the edit here and writing a policies. This is a manual policy we are writing, and this is the unique identifier of the bucket. So make sure like you have to copy here and keep like paste it into the notepad to make sure like this, whatever the policy you are writing, that will be applied to this bucket. So either you can write policy manually here, or you can write policies using the policy generator. So okay, so let me go just paste it here in different screen. I click on the policy generator. So this is the policy generator, help you to generate the policies. S- Uh, we are writing policy for one of the services. So what is the service? The service name is S3. Okay. Uh, Allow and principal means like everything's within that bucket we will be able to access. So star is the principal. And then action, what is the action? So let me put it get objects. So you find like these are the things, get object all the way to the bottom, L, get object. So within this, within this bucket, and if you have a file and folder underneath, you can access everything, anything. Yeah, since like you are writing these policies as a get access. What is on? Amazon resource name. So our resource name, what is the our resource name? Our bucket name is a resource name. So this one, you just have to copy this one, paste it here, and end of this bucket, you have to put the forward slash and a star to make sure like under this bucket, you will be able to access every other thing. So add in a statement. So this bucket is created. This bucket is created. You can see the generated policies here. So either you have to create, go here, see that this is a JSON file. So this bucket, this is the bucket here, and effect is allow all the get objects. So just copy this one and paste in some of your notepad, and either go back to the edit policy where you need to write this edit policies against since you're hosting that website in S3, and save changes. So you generated the policies, you pasted those policies here, you save changes this, and go back to your properties, and you will see the same endpoint. This is the endpoint where my website is hosted. So let me open this same website in the tab. You see that you are able to host this website within few clicks. So once you build your HTML page, the cloud provider is giving you an options to host your static page in few clicks. So this endpoint is available for your customer. Your customer can start using this if it is a static website. If it is dynamic website, you need to do a little more work for all integrations and navigation, but still hosting a static page is very easy. So, and you see like this is the page, like you can go and click here. Sometimes like every website has some error pages, error page build. So let me type something here. So technically this site is not available. Then it says, do you mean index.page, index.html? Yes, if I saw index.html, otherwise it will be route to the error.html. Those logics you need to write within the test page. Uh, do you mean to go to the index.html or navigation? I'm not sure. So yeah, those logic needs to write within that. If something goes wrong, like error page should be pop up, and or some kind of guidance is there within the error page. So considering that, like this is mm, so this is the usage of the S3, and there are many other usage of the S3. How to secure, how to like have the encryption enabled for any S3 bucket, like to keep the sensitive data and all those things. Uh, any question at this point of time? I can consider as a no if there is silent. So okay, before moving into that, S3 bucket. There is one of the other service I would like to talk and have some demo here called CloudWatch services. CloudWatch. This is very key service. Every service, uh, any event occurs, you can log those events, and this will be very helpful for the monitorings and logging and troubleshooting and auditing of what is going on within the service. So you can have the log group, like any specific set of logs will go into this group. So you need to build that. Also, you can build some kind of metrics and dashboard within this group. Let me click on this all metrics if so if you see here, these are the services which we are using it. Like DynamoDB is one of the services which we have some events, 14 events, EBS, Firehose. These are the different services, and this enable the CloudWatch logging. Our S3 was not enable the loggings. That's what we cannot see here. But if you enable that, like you can see that like what is happening and what all logs is there. These are the metrics. You can see that. So if you use that services, these are the alarms, these are the instance ID, these are the instance means these are the computers have these metrics, metadata, no tokens. This gets logged, and you can easily identify quickly what is happening within that service. Or suppose some customer has reported, I'm getting some weird things. My usage got a spike on certain times of the day. So you can come back here and see that what's happening, what's the log, why the resource gets consumed more, and take appropriate options based on that. We can also write the query. Somebody's like if you somebody's good at this writing SQL queries kind of thing, so you can write the queries to get some specific day and time, data logs, and mine those things and take some necessary actions based on your logs. So yeah. Uh, any questions, brothers? Can we use AWS services and S3 bucket in the free, or we need to top pay for it? So technically, every service is associated with cost. Since if you are associated with any organizations, or like let's assume like you are doing some innovatics, some course. So innovatics may provide you a cloud playground wherein you can use those any of the services which is applicable for those tier, and that playground you can use it and play it, understand your build your knowledge, uh, and just close that playground. Uh, Sometimes like you may get on a very for a student tiers in a very minimal price, $10, $20, something like that, and use those services. But nobody can give you just a free. It's not open source. It's not a total free stuff. So I hope Jawad, you got answer right. Can this service be used for the personal affairs? I can imagine just using these at a corporate world. Yeah, you can use I have seen like many people spin up their account, AWS account, using their own small business. For example, they are doing some retail business. They can have their own account, own kind of purpose. They build based on that, and they're managing that. It's not only for the corporate. You can use that your stuff as well. Uh, how this role works like solution architect. Role solution architect. So, for example, you created a user and you are a solution architect. So we need to create a role which and associate all the policies which solution architect can do that, and that role is attached with the group of let's call the solution architect, and the user which we created, that user is associated with the group. So the user is associated with the group, and group is associated with that role, and role is associated with the policies with related to all the solution architect related stuff. So and you can write your own policies as well. Any other questions? We have 4 more minutes. I think tomorrow we can talk more of the serverless topic, wherein we can literally write some code, serverless code, where we don't need any server, but it will get executed. We give some kind of data examples with DynamoDB, with some Python code, how to read and write those things within the DynamoDB, using some code or some Lambda code. So primarily we will be talking DynamoDB and some Lambda functions. Lambda is a very key functions for every need. Like most of the like many needs, Lambda gets covered. So it's a very important service to know. So that's what I thought of, like having a quick demo for the Lambda. And the backend services, we can use some DynamoDB when you can store your data in a key value pair, and you can read and write something in DynamoDB with the help of Python code from the Lambda service. So we can talk those things tomorrow. I will be open for a few more questions. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer. So otherwise, officially we can. Close for today's sessions. I'm hanging around here to take any questions if you have. Or we can share some playground. We'll work on some playground wherein like very either either very minimal cost or some kind of free playground. We'll find it and we can share that as well so that you can example. We can use an example with services AWS. I don't get Mustafa these questions. Yeah, okay. It's all always you're talking the free. Of course, we'll find some playground wherein you can use as a free. But mm, I'm sure like if you associated with any org or any you're taking some courses, so they will provide some playground to play all those services that helps you to learn and build your knowledge. I'm not sure exactly some of we can find some free. We'll take a look. If we find some free, we can share in this group, inshallah. If you don't have any other thing, I think we should close for the day. And yeah, Professor Ed, you have anything to talk? No. All right then. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.